So, did I just walk away from an opportunity to work with Google? Actual, as in the big G? Am I crazy or am I not? Let's find out in this video why I chose to go with another opportunity versus a Google job opportunity. It's Moyo, and if this is your first time here, or even if you're a returning viewer, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. On this channel, my goal is to help you achieve some of your personal and professional development goals. So, if you found any of my videos useful, or you're just, pretty curious, please subscribe. This will help me to gain more visibility so other people can also get access to these videos that are obviously helpful. Thank you so much. Let's get to today's video. I have shared a number of videos about my interview experience with Google. If you haven't seen those, click here for the playlist to see all of the different videos that I've gone into details about my 7+ at this point, probably almost a year interview process with Google. And if you're in that process or you're thinking about applying to Google, hopefully you can pick a thing or two from these videos. The last time I spoke about my experience with Google, I mentioned that I was still in team matching phase. When you watch that video, you're going to understand what I mean by team matching. And I have been in this team matching, waiting basically to be matched to a team for up to now, basically. And mind you, I started this process back in August. So honestly, I still very much love what the company Google stands for, and I feel very privileged and grateful to have experienced the interview, to have even made it to where I'm at today with the interview. But I wanted to share a little bit about why I decided to walk away from the Google job opportunity and pursue another path. As of today, I currently work for NVIDIA, and I chose NVIDIA over Google basically. Here is why. I also recently shared my interview experience with NVIDIA. If you haven't seen that, take a look here. So, let me start by saying that when I started, interviewing, I was pretty very much happy at my current role. And it was just a matter of, let me see what's out there, let me keep myself open. And I also really was thinking about transitioning into the tech industry. So all of that kind of just came together for me to say, okay, I'm going to start interviewing. But I wasn't just going to move just because, for the sake of it. I wasn't desperate. I just was keeping myself open to better, or even more exciting opportunities. So it was like, okay, so, and then when I went through, I've been through several interviews, and if you've seen my video on how I transitioned into tech, or if you haven't seen it, it's going to be here. I talk a lot about the whole experience of interviewing for several companies and taking several interviews within a period of time. So I have NVIDIA, and I had still that potential Google opportunity that I could wait for, and I just want to give you details into what went into my decision process, just in case you're trying to make a decision about multiple offers that you have for a company. So the number one thing that I want to point out is that the interview process for the two companies were very different. Like I said, Google had like their own systematic process that would take you through different stages of the hiring process, while NVIDIA, it was more of a straightforward kind of process where I basically just met with the hiring manager, I went through a loop, and I had an offer for me. So the clear difference between the two processes, I felt like that contributed to my level of interest after a while. And that just kind of made me draw closer to NVIDIA, just because I felt that that was something that seemed more more in line with what I was looking for. Another thing is that when I interviewed for Google, Google interviewed me for more of a generic technical program manager role, and I didn't specifically have a team, which is why I'm still here at this point without an actual written offer. So I was basically, going through the whole team match process, and I was exhausted. Like, guys, it gets really exhausting having to talk to multiple people over and over again. But with NVIDIA, I felt like I had a company that wanted me on board. I mean, I share my experience, my interview experience. The hiring manager kept reaching out to me with different opportunities, and I felt wanted by that company. Like, they actually really wanted me on board. And this was also specific to the team that I was going to be working with. I knew the team, I knew what they did. I didn't have any form of ambiguity about, oh, I'm not sure what this is about. But for Google, I didn't exactly know what team I was going to end up in. And that kind of gave me some level of anxiety as well, because it was just like, I don't know what I'm getting into. So that didn't sit really well with me. But for NVIDIA, I knew the ins and outs to the best of my ability um, about the role. Another thing that's really, really important to me, and I've mentioned it several times on this channel, is the manager. The manager that you have, I've said it, I've made several videos about this, plays a huge role in your career. And when I was previously, my previous company, I had a really great manager, and it was part of the things that kind of made me nervous about leaving, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get going out there. But, you can't always control that. However, from my experience with NVIDIA, the manager was rooting for me and advocating heavily for me even before I joined. And I felt that that was a good sign, at least from what I could see, compared to what I had with Google, where I didn't even know what manager I was going to end up with. And at the end of the day, it got to a point in the Google stage that was just like, I'm going through this team matching process. It's not even about liking the team anymore. It's just about, just give me one team. Anything you have, I'll take it. Just give it to me. So I was just like, you know what, this is not healthy, because at this point I just feel like I'm in survival mode. Do you get? So I was just like, yeah, I think this is not healthy. I need to take a step back, right? So I had that with NVIDIA, where I knew the manager, and she had obviously kept in touch with me, and I could sense that they wanted me on the team. I mean, I interviewed the first time and it didn't work out. She reached back out to me a second time. It didn't work out. And then the third time again, she reached out, which was the one I finally got right now, the job that I finally have right now, which is like, wow, that's a huge deal for a manager to still keep you in mind as a candidate, not even an employee. How much more when you become an employee? How much advocacy do you think they're going to be doing for you? So that definitely, like, pulled or tugged on my heart, or whatever that phrase is. And I felt like, okay, there's something here, and let me pay attention to it. Ordinarily, Google is like the more known company, and that would have been a no-brainer to go for a company that the name is Google is basically a household name. Everybody knows Google. It would have made sense for me to go with that. But I had to take a step back and think about what's actually really best for me right now. It could be that maybe my path goes to Google later in the future, but I'm like, what is best for me right now? What do I need right now? So those were all the things that I was thinking about. And then now, finally, let's talk about the money. Yes. So, when I compared the two opportunities in monetary terms, NVIDIA was leading by a lot. So that was also something, because compensation is important, even though I know for sure that the manager was top of priority, the work that I was going to be doing, and then ultimately also the compensation was important to me. Because this lifestyle ain't going to pay for itself. Anyways, and I was just like, yeah, NVIDIA offer was initially like 25% more than what Google was offering me. So that kind of already made me think more, coupled with all the other things that I already had for pros on the NVIDIA list. And then another thing that really, really, really made me know that okay, now I am just not, it's not even an option, I'm going with the NVIDIA offer, was the fact that I had a very open conversation with the hiring manager, and they were very flexible with overall the working, situation and everything. And then um, when I was trying to negotiate my current salary, I felt like I had more negotiating power than I had when I was trying to negotiate with Google. So NVIDIA, and I also felt like the hiring manager was also advocating for me even behind the scenes. And I could tell based on some signs that I saw. So I felt like, eventually at the end of the negotiating, I was able to get 50% more in salary than what Google was going to be offering me eventually. So it's just adding all of those things together. And by the way, if you want me to do a video on how I negotiated my salary, please comment below and I'll be happy to do a video on that and share with you guys. But basically, I looked at all of these things and I'm just like, NVIDIA is definitely leading right now at this point in time. And I felt pretty confident that I was going to be making the right decision for my career if I proceeded with NVIDIA, which is why I decided to go forward and accept the offer. Yeah. So overall, I'm just going to say that, Google is a great company, and if, in another couple years, that the opportunity opens up and I see that it's a good fit for me, why not pursue it? But I'm just glad I got the experience. At least I know what it's like to get to that point with the company. And I'm just really glad that I made the decision. I'm really happy about the decision I made. And if you're in the same situation, I hope that when you're considering between multiple offers, you're thinking about it holistically. Don't just think about money alone, or just it's or brand name. Think about what is good for you as a person right now, and consider every single aspect of it and not just one. Don't single one out of it, and hopefully you're able to make the right decision. And honestly, I don't even think decisions are right or wrong. It's just we try to make the best we can with what we have, and if it's not the right one, we move, we try again. It's not the end of the world. So I hope I've been able to help you with this video. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me at the corporate baddie on Instagram. Thank you. Bye.